Hey, welcome to the August version of Transaction Review and Calculator Practice. Thanks for hanging with me with this change. Wilbur, you're here. Mark, great. Ken, good to see you again. Anyway, let's just go ahead and get started. Use the chat buttons and all of that, questions if you have any. So, what I wanted to do today, I don't know, some of you know that I moved just recently from Southern California, where I've been for the last 50 years, and just relocated to Carson City, Nevada, just about 6 weeks ago. And, anyhow, still, unpacking and all that thing, but I really, really love it. And I just kind of wanted to share some thinking, and I'm sure this is, very basic for some of you, but just like when you understand this dance between property and paper that we're here talking about as part of this community, there's so many things in the way you think, and it can open up certain options that are natural to you instead of rocket science. And so I thought I'm just going to spend a few minutes, probably won't take us very long, but I just wanted to just share some things. So in LA, where we raised four kids, and I have no idea how we did this, is we were in a three-bedroom, one bath, 1,326 square foot Craftsman in the Pasadena area. Had a large lot, and that's the thing that we loved about it. When we moved into that property, though, we were renters. That was in 1995. All the babies were in diapers. And but we wanted them to have a large yard, and at that time, 20 years ago, we our finances, I think we were each making 25,000, working part-time each. So maybe, so we were looking at, gosh, we really need a nice house in a nice neighborhood, but we've got all these kids. And anyway, so we ended up renting that house. Then I want to say 4 years later, in 1999, the owner ended up selling us the property because he didn't want to do any repairs. So we just said our income had improved at that point, making pretty good W-2 income as a nurse still at that point. And he ended up selling us the property, which was very auspicious for us because that is at the point where then prices really started taking off. And we just sold it for almost four times what we bought it for. But anyway, our monthly PITI on that little house, now all the kids are pretty much out, right? They're all in their early 20s now, not in diapers anymore, thank goodness. They could start changing mine pretty soon, I guess. But anyway, the PITI, so my monthly overhead, let's call it 3,200, pretty close to that. And is a nice area, great home, loved it. Had a raised garden bed in the front. We had mature orange trees in the back and fig trees, and we ate frequently out of our house. We just really loved it. But it's time for us to move out of LA. We never featured that we would the kids, there's no joint custody, there's no schooling that anyone's worried about. So we ended up getting 865,000, which I don't know. That was more than I ever thought we'd get. And they're going to tear it down. It's just for the dirt. So this is Chinese money, foreign money that's coming in here. They'll tear it down and put a huge house on there and try to sell it for 1.2, 1.5, somewhere in that range. I don't know how they get this to pencil out, but they're doing an awful lot of investing that they don't seem to really need high profits or much of a cap rate or anything. It's more like, seems like land banking to me. But anyway, so we took that money. We just really wanted to get out of LA. We ended up here in Carson City, Nevada, where we have a 5-bedroom, 3-bath with a big sunroom. So it's basically twice the square footage, right? Almost 2,600 versus 1,300. Our monthly rent, and because we didn't want to buy yet, because you shouldn't really buy until you've lived in an area for a while. So, so look at that, twice the square footage, half the rent, and the reason we're doing this partly is just to be sustainable. I don't know, LA's getting to be a little freaky. I mean, if the system breaks at all, you know what? It's going to be a madhouse in LA. There's such high population density. The water situation's tight, and there and other places. Food will run out in the stores in 3 days. and it could get pretty crazy. Plus, we just want a slower lifestyle. And guess what? I haven't been through a winter yet, so we'll see if I still love it so much. I adore it here. I adore it here, but I haven't gone through a winter, to be fair. But I do love to ski, and so I'm hoping there's a good winter for snow up in the local Tahoe mountains here. But my thinking is always, how can I reduce my overhead? I want to live a smaller life. I want my overhead to be smaller and smaller, even though I'm actually making more and more money all the time. Both my partner and I are doing just better than ever, and my passive income. So the you know the gosh, my passive income doesn't have to be very high when my overheads to exceed my expenses when I keep reducing my overhead. And I just want to get sustainable regardless of what, if anything, should happen, in the economy, or whatever. The drought's getting pretty bad in California. I mean, I was on a little 3-day road trip, and I put a lot of miles, probably 1,000 miles, going from here to the Central Coast, up through Big Sur and along there, and then back again. And it's like every sign was like, severe drought, conserve water. That's all the digital signs on the freeways were doing that. Signs on the road saying no water equals no jobs, because there's a lot of acres that aren't getting planted. I don't know. So there's a lot of things that we're just in a hunkering down mode. So if I get a big chunk of change, I don't go buy something dumb. I mean, I either pay down liabilities or buy an asset. So I don't know, just some thinking that I think is important to sort of pass along. And if you guys, thanks a lot, Wilbur, you said good luck. If you guys have thoughts that you want to share, but I don't know, downsizing is a good thing. So since we loved it, and this wasn't, here's how we picked the house that we were going to rent. We looked online. We just knew that we were going to sell our house. So we put our house on the market in LA. It sold, it was in escrow within 7 days. And 10 days later, that was really fast, right? 10 days later, we had cash in pocket, but we had negotiated 2 months of free rent because we needed time to get out. So then there was a property we thought we wanted to buy up here, but the guy ended up not being able to negotiate because he got in a motorcycle accident. So we go, well, shoot, we still have to be out of here anyway. And so we go, well, we got to know where we're going, because my partner's an artist and she needs her studio set up to be able to do anything. We have our home offices, all that stuff. So we looked online, well, what can we rent in Carson City? And literally the only property that was big enough for our family plus 2 home offices was this one listing in the whole city. Everything else was like a 3-2. And so we go, and the pictures of it were horrible. Whoever was, the property managers were doing a horrible job. It was like, oh God. But so I signed a 1-year lease sight unseen, because we didn't have time to get up here and look it over. We just needed to know that we had a place for the moving truck to show up at. So we ended up getting here going, we're just going to say, if this really sucks, if it's really bad, we're just going to laugh, Anyway, it turned out that it's just a beautiful property for us. It's fabulously perfect. The backyard is gorgeous, magnificently landscaped. There's some mature fruit trees. There's some raised garden beds. It's almost like if someone anticipated the kind of people and things that we would love. And it's just gorgeous. The house, new carpet, it's just turned out to be just delightful. And can you imagine how happy I am going from 1 bathroom to 3? I'm so happy, and I have so fewer people to share it with. But anyway, so I just said, well, I'm not ready to buy yet, because I don't even know if we would like it here. Number 2, I mean, the winter, and I didn't know if we'd like the property. But once I go, wow, I think I might like to buy it, I wondered if he'd be open to it. And just in case, I did all this online research to go, what's the story with this deal? And so, Ken, did you offer to pay 1 year of rent payments in cash for a discount? Hey, no, I didn't even do that. Good idea. Ken was saying, hey, you should have said pay 1 year. I could probably still do that. Say, look, I'll pay 10 months up front in exchange for 12 months of payments. Then I would be making a 35% kind of return on my money. Something like that, right, Ken? Yeah, didn't even think of that. Good one. Anyway, so I went over here and I go to, put this down, NETR, Netter Online, I think it's .net, Public Records Online. Yeah, NETR online.com. I'm just going to, I use this as a resource quite often. Okay, so you can just put this in your back pocket. But so anyway, I picked Nevada. I type in my property address. And so the long and short of it is that I found out he owns it free and clear, and I also found out just by looking. You can snoop so much online. I mean, I know that in 2010 he bought a new property. He raised his own kids in this house that we're in now, and he got a divorce in 2010, and the new wife didn't want to live in the old wife's house, although she wouldn't let him sell this property because they were attached to the garden and yard, and so. So I saw that he bought another property for an even bigger property. He bought it for $625. He put $400,000 down and got a $225 bank loan. I saw that that he had owned this property free and clear in 2010, but what I'm guessing is from the divorce he had to pay off his ex-wife, so he took out a $150,000 loan, and probably to pay off his first. Well, his only first wife. And then 3 years later, like last year, he already paid it off, so he owns it free and clear again. So I know that this guy has a lot of cash flow. I know that he manages his debt really well. He's very conservative, and he doesn't need, he's doing fine monetarily, right? So so that was interesting. So what I did, not knowing if we even wanted to buy the property, I just, in my mind, had already created the possibility, but I wasn't going to sit on it. I said, okay, what would I be willing to pay for this property? How much would I be willing to, put down? And if I did, what kind of terms would and so I crunched around a few things. I probably did this for an hour and a half, and I created this visual reality sort of thing, but then I just put it away because anyway, so I'm doing a lot of hiking now that I'm here. And, I was gone like for 3 hours one day. I didn't know. I just tend to get lost. I keep wanting to go. I wonder where that trail goes. Anyway, so I came down out of the hills in a place that I don't normally, because I'm just sort of exploring and getting to know. And it was right by this guy. He owns the landscaping business, and I ran into it. I tend to just like serendipitously run into this guy in town. This was the second time that this happened. And he goes, hey, what are you doing? I said, I just been hiking. So this is where your business is, blah, blah, blah. And he goes, how's it going with the house? I said, great. I'm having the plumber come in, da, 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 da. Anyway, and he goes, so have you ever guys thought of buying the property? And I said, well, actually, funny you should mention it. We had considered the possibility, but we thought, that you didn't want to sell. Why did you rent it? I mean, why did you rent it to us if you were thinking of selling? And he says, well, my wife only just barely told me that I could sell the property now. She's given me permission to sell the property, but you had just signed a lease agreement. And then once I saw how much you loved the property, I didn't have the heart to tell you that I'd be putting it on the market. And he says, but if you guys think you would buy it, we'd really be happy to discuss that. So I'm going, wow, how interesting. The universe is, I'm just paying attention, just following the cues that, the higher powers are just sort of laying out in front of me. But I just said, hey, I think, I thought I should probably get through a winter before I bought to make sure I still love it as much in the winter as I do now in the summer. But, look, I'm never going to qualify for a bank loan. Self-employed people, or even if I could, I wouldn't want to. But I've got some cash, and if you're open to Simone or Carrie, we could probably work something out. And he goes, great, I'll talk to my wife. So there's just this really nice connection that we just like each other. Like, this is the kind of person where I barely met him and I just want to go up and give him a big hug like he's a teddy bear. And just, anyway, it's a very interesting and sweet sort of thing. But anyway, so then so I don't know what's going to happen, what we'll want to do, if we'll do it, when we'll do it. But just my thinking is what I wanted to share, and then get your thoughts too if you have any. Value the property somewhere between 250 and 300, I guess, depending. So if I take the 250 as a start, and I say, I'm thinking to myself, 250 times 94%, because basically if we work something out, I'm saving him real estate commissions, right? So basically I'm going to go, okay, let's just do this. 250 times 0.94, because I'm taking off 6%. So that's what I come up with. Now I'm looking at a purchase price of $235,000. The other thing it does for him, if I buy it, I take the property as is. I'm not going to ask him to repair anything, and I'll know it because I'll have lived here a few months already. Of course, I'd still get an inspection, but also he doesn't have any stop in cash flow. Like, if we move out and he puts it on the market, he's going to have several months where it sits vacant and it's not performing, right? The asset's not performing. So that's why I would try to take the lower number as well, because that it's easier and saves him money as well. And look, I could pay all cash, or maybe I'd rather leverage it a little, because I know how to make pretty good money on my money. So if you guys have thoughts about, if you could, would you own your own house free and clear, or would you rather leverage your money and say, hey, I got 4%, I can make more than 4% on my money somewhere else. So if I can make 12 and above, why would I buy my house outright? For me, because I'm in hunker down and get smaller mode, I'd really rather, maybe I would just pay all cash. But if I could not have to, then what if I could just drop? So I already dropped my overhead, right, for housing by half. I was at 3,200. Now I'm at about 1,600. What if I could drop it down to 800? Okay, and still leave myself an extra, I don't know, 85 grand, 100 grand to work with. So I'm just crunching these, and I could go a million different ways with this. If he says no, I need 300, then I'll say, okay, well then I need 2.5% interest rate, or I need blah blah blah. You got to put a new roof on. I don't know what I would say, but so I'm just saying, well, how could I drop my overhead even less? And if I had to at any time, I could just pay it off. But so if I start with 235 purchase price minus, and maybe I wouldn't put this much down, maybe I would, just sort of depends. But I just really like the idea that nobody can kick me out of this place before I want to go. So that would be an $85,000 present value. Or what happens if my cash flow? What if I don't know, all the electricity goes out, or there's some banking holiday that happens, I just don't want to be at risk for losing the roof over my head if I can help it. What if I ask for 4%? I'd probably ask for less. And what if I fully amortize over 10 years? What would my payment be? That's not right. Why did I come up with 406? I must have done something wrong before. Okay, so I just must have made a mistake. 85,000 at 4%, fully amortized over 120, gives me a monthly payment of 860. So yeah, with taxes and insurance, probably it's not quite half, but it's getting smaller, and I'm liking that. And then what I would do is get in the note, if he agreed to this, I would get a first right of refusal to buy the note, so that no one can buy the note out from under me, right? So that would give me the first right. And I'll just tell them up front, at any time, if you want out of this note, I'll give you 50% of the unpaid principal balance, the UPB, at any time. So just like, if you decide you need, instead of these, obviously I did this wrong, 800 something. God, you would think. something like that. So maybe I'm at 1,200 there. At any time, if you don't want the 800 a month, and probably his cash flow would go up because not only would he get 150 down, but he's getting 800, but he doesn't have taxes, insurance, property managers, or repairs to deal with. So he's actually probably doing a lot better with this deal than using it as a rental. Anyhow, I'll say I'll give you, if the note balance is 80, I'll give you 40 and you can walk. This guy doesn't seem to need cash, but you never know. Okay, so those are just that's all I have for sharing. Let's see what you guys have said. Ken, I always love your comments, Ken. You're a thinker. Okay, ask the owner what he's doing with his money now. If it's in the bank earning less than 1%, it would be a good deal for him if you decide, let's say, a 5% loan, then he is getting a better rate. Yeah, absolutely. I think this guy, as conservative as I've seen him be by what I've seen in public record, I think he's probably, here's what I think. If he ends up carrying for me at a 3.45, which is a much higher rate than probably his savings account or CDs in the bank, I'll bet you I could turn him into one of my private investors for loans and discounted notes. That's what I'm guessing, because we just seem to have this really magical sort of relationship, and it's I don't know, it just feels really good. So I just feel like, I didn't know, we didn't even know if this house, we would like it. It was the only 5-bedroom rental in the whole city. We took it sight unseen, and then it turns out I don't know. I'm just showing that what I want to share is just the thinking and what the possibilities might be, and just like trust. I don't know. I call it the universe because it's easier, God, whatever. But just pay attention, and a lot of great things really start lining up for you. So anyway, that's my little, testimony or whatever. Ken says, try to put down no more than 50,000 and invest the rest. Yeah, that's another thing too. I mean, instead of putting down 150, I could use that extra 100,000, and yeah, I easily make well over 12% in very safe investments. And what if something happened though? I don't know. I used to always want to leverage a lot, but anymore I'm leaning towards all cash, free and clear, on things that I use for my day in, day out livelihood for my family. Right now, I'm in the market for a truck. I really want a 4x4 truck, and I'm in good company here in Nevada. But I'm gonna pay all cash for it, and I'm not buying it new. Even though I could easily afford it, I'm not. At the most, I'm gonna put maybe 13,000, 14,000 down on a diesel 4x4 extended bed truck, because I want to be able to. I don't know. Who cares? But anyway, thanks for being here. Is there anything else that you guys want to? I mean, thanks for spending the time. I hope this helped a little bit. If you have any comments, questions, and we don't get to them now, feel free to email me. I really appreciate you guys. Wishing you the best, and we will see you around soon. You guys take care. Bye bye.